and went through the route that somebody said, Vikki, go here to their education, and if it took for me to go there to do it, I wanted to have a home, that's what I did. And that was my mindset at 19 years old, like my mom took a life, which led to, like I said, a 23-year sentence. Now, while I was in prison, each year that went by, I got more and more tired of being in prison. And then I heard about this thing called clemency. I heard about this thing called clemency. So what I decided to do, they told me, in order to get a clemency, it was better to have the support of a member of Congress. So I decided to write every member of Congress in the state on the salary within the prison walls, which is only like $30 a month. $30 a month, every member of Congress in the United States. Takes a lot of family, a lot of paper, a lot of ink, a lot of everything. Of course, it was taking me, and my mind was solid on it. It took a year, so be it. And so I decided to write it out. But what happened, I couldn't do it. But I was determined to do it. Other people saw it. They just saw me sitting there saying, writing money, envelopes, writing money. And this person came about, here's a stamp. What are you doing? Here's a stamp. Here's the stamp. Another lady came to set me, and before you knew it, the entire facility were in support of trying to get me out of prison. I've done 10 years at that time. So much so that LA Times picked it up, and this is the prison case in I was out of California. So, including the staff that worked there, this lady needs to know. I mean, and this is sidebar from the health issue, because in becoming the vice president of Advocate for Justice, I advocate for some changes. Granted, I needed to go to prison. I broke the law. But do you think a little bit of therapy could have prevented some stuff, or do you think we need to do some type of alternatives in addition to the sentence, and not such a long sentence? So I advocate for that to change. Because not everybody comes out hardcore, I'm going to get the gun on back and kill and may rape and murder. That's not everyone. This is a different situation. So a lot of people were in support and trying to help. Anyway, so as I continued to go on, by the way, that clemency, it didn't work. I started too late, is what it was. Former President Bill Clinton was in office, and he'd done, at the last minute, he said, that's when they began to recognize that the laws were not fair. And he released some people, but I started, like I said, a little bit too late. And by the time I got, everything was up to the media, former President Bush was in office, and that was the end of that. Nonetheless, so I had to carry on. So by the time I got into my 15th year in prison, I started to look back, and I asked some questions. There was a day at night at 20 years old, I think I was 21 years old, when there was this guy. He was high on drugs. And this guy, dark, small town, a back road, this guy was angry or whatever, and what I didn't know with him arguing with me is that he had a gun. And he took the gun and he put it on my forehead. And I told him to pull the trigger. And I meant it. It wasn't a fluke, wasn't a joke, wasn't, oh, I'm playing. No, killed me. Understand, I was a walking dead woman from my mom's suicide. I couldn't feel anything. Severe depression. I didn't know at the time. But I remember telling this man, pull the trigger. And I meant it. Either way, I survived all that. How did I survive? I'm starting to ask questions now. Severe spousal abuse, my mom's suicide. I told this man to kill me. He didn't do it. My brother, while I was in prison, the one that I wanted to make sure he pursued education, my sister as well, but she has 2 masters, and she's in the elementary education system in Orange County. Anyway, school system in Orange County. My brother, who I, pushed for his education, he was killed the week he was accepting the Boone College. So, here I survived all these things. My father, that I showed you earlier, In my 10th year, he died while I was in prison. Now I have 20. All my family is wiped out, with the exception of one. And tragically, we're not talking about health problems in the physical sense. Mental, murder, and my father, which was a health issue. Why am I here? So I started asking questions. Okay, I'm just really not supposed to be here in terms of still living with circumstances. And then a boy with the metal gun, and this guy was high on drugs. And I told him to pull the trigger, confusion. I looked directly at his eyes, and I saw the confusion in his eyes. But what happened was there was a car that came out of nowhere with the headlights on and scared him away. Mm-hmm. So to me, that was like, okay, wait a minute, something's going on. Why? Okay, why am I still alive? And I asked those questions. So as I started asking those questions, I sat down at an old school typewriter. I'm still in prison now. Laptops and computers, what's that? No, so there was an old school I sat down and started trying to figure out why I'm still here. And in the midst of that, I wanted to know what happened to me. What happened to me? So I started analyzing, dissecting, dictionary, picking me apart. And what I came up with, sitting at that typewriter, typing and trying to understand, it was 1,000 pages of analysis, of understanding, of helping me, of understanding what happened to my mother. And it goes back into what Lieutenant John was talking about. Cutting something off. Now, had I not sat down at that typewriter and everything came up and came out, tears, this and that, I wouldn't have understood, And even in the process of trying to understand, mental health, you got to be post-traumatic stress. No, for me, and not to offend Lieutenant Jones or anyone else or anyone that you know, but to me that was weak. Post-traumatic stress, what? But by the time I got to that 900 and something page, I knew, no, it's Vikki, this is what happened to you. This is why with your mother, this is why. So, though cancer or diabetes is a physical health that you can see, and you can see the person actually in a hospital bed dying, the same results happen through mental health if not treated in one way or another for a lot of people. Anyway, so like I said, I came to that point and understood that so this is now a published book as well. Let me make sure I enlighten you about that. But anyway, as I came to understand that, okay, this is what happens to my family, this is what happens to me, when we think outside the box, this is what happens to other people, so I need to get this out so that I can help other people. I couldn't help my mom. Of course I couldn't. I tried with my brother. I've helped myself. Now I'm going to help other people through this resource as well as me sharing my story. Anyway, not too long after I got to this point and understood this, there was this lady that said, inside the prison, again, I'm still there, by this time 16 years has passed, there was this lady that said, Vikki, will you help us write a letter for a campaign? There's this lieutenant that started this campaign, Lieutenant Jones, No, I don't know who you're talking about, but I helped you with letters to reinstate federal parole. It was just, and it wasn't about, the federal parole thing, nothing about any of that. I just knew, they knew that I knew how to write and how to, the intellectual part of even structuring things and getting campaigning. I had gotten into that, the law, and things of that nature. So they asked me to help them. So I helped them with the letter, and that was that. And then a couple of weeks later, there's this piece of literature that comes through the mail from this one group. I don't know how they got my name. They got my name through the media, LA Times. And anyway, this organization, they wrote me, they sent me this magazine, like a newsletter, and a